Hello, folks. 10-minute Tuesday time. Unconditional love. This is such a fascinating subject because it is such a lovely word and such a lovely idea that when you examine it, falls apart completely. So it's a little disappointing. I'm sorry for the spoiler alert. Unconditional love, is there such a thing? Well, no, there's actually not. It doesn't make sense. So Webster's dictionary defines love as an intense feeling of deep affection. So if you analyze the mechanics of that, you realize it's actually far less selfless than you'd imagine. It's all about how you feel towards someone else. You feel affectionate deeply towards someone else. So if there are no conditions on your love, how are you going to remain feeling affectionate towards someone? If someone continues to treat you badly, is rude towards you, uses you, abuses you, and you still feel really affectionate toward them, I think you've confused love for something else entirely. In fact, that's actually the challenge around unconditional love. It's a hiding in plain sight issue. It's a noble sounding hideout. And you can hide all kinds of interesting dysfunction under the term unconditional love because it sounds so lovely. The key thing to realize about human behavior is that we only do what works. So there's always a transaction. So you might think that you just do something for someone else, like you always go the extra mile, you're always caring, you're always kind, you're always loving, you never give up. You believe in people, you're always there, you're a very loving person, and you get nothing back from it just because you love that person. Well, that's actually impossible. You could not sustain that. We can only behave in a way that rewards us or returns us. So there's actually some deeper logic that sustains that, because you're actually not as wonderful as you think you are or you say you are, which is, again, a little confronting. And I'm sorry to be so blunt. So often people say, no, it's just I am a loving person. That is how I can sustain these relationships. I can sustain being treated poorly. I can sustain people who don't understand how much I love them or how good I am to them. And I can keep putting up with their behavior because of how loving I am. That's not how it works. So the mechanics of the transaction is that it's more likely to be about you than it is about them. So, the martyr syndrome, you might have heard me talk about this before, but it's some really, really interesting technology to build into your life to meet your need for significance. And it just works through comparison. So in order to sleep at night, we all have to feel like we're a decent human being. And one of the cleverest ways to do that is by comparing yourself to others. It's not necessarily that resourceful because it leads to all kinds of dysfunction, but the martyr requires people to behave worse than them so that they've got a reference point to elevate their own status. I'm better than you. I would never even think about doing what you're doing. And look at what a saint I am because of what I can tolerate and put up with and still function and still put a smile on my face and still show up loving. So I'm an incredible person. In fact, I am the best person I know. So this idea of unconditional love, no, you're actually you need people to treat you poorly so that you can sleep at night. The same is true for the people pleaser and the empath. It's actually more about you. It's how you get to survive in life. No, I'm such a loving person. Are you really? Or do you just need to be liked by other people? No, I'm such a loving person. I love people unconditionally. Are you really? Or are you a rescuer? Do you have to constantly show your value to the world by how you can save others from their pain and their chaos? So, look, to have no conditions on love, it really does not make sense. You are saying, if I say to you, I'm going to love you unconditionally, then what I'm saying to you is, listen, you can treat me like dirt. You can use me, you can abuse me, you can take me for granted. You can never return my love, and I'll still be here tomorrow and I'll still love you exactly the same. That's rubbish. There's nothing loving about that at all. That is pure dysfunction. Like, If love is an intense feeling of deep affection and you treat me like rubbish, I promise you I will not feel deeply affectionate toward you. That is impossible. That cannot happen. And if I have to feel deeply affectionate toward you, even though you're treating me like rubbish, then that is a deep betrayal of self. There is nothing loving about that toward myself. So that love does not, unconditional love does not exist. This is not love at all. I'm convinced that true love, to experience true love, it must start in your own relationship with yourself. That is where you understand the nuance. That's how you get how this works. To have deep affection toward yourself means that you will never tolerate someone treating you like rubbish. You will never tolerate someone treating you less than you deserve. It makes no sense. And as you understand the wonder of who you are and treat yourself the way that you deserve, and see the best in yourself and bring out the best in yourself through that love, you'll understand how to apply that to the relationships you have with others. Your intimate relationships, your relationships as a parent, your relationships as a friend, your relationships in work. You will understand how to be loving, but only as you understand how to love yourself. So I think the aim of the game is to be a good human. You are not a good human being if you are walking around trying to love people unconditionally. That does not exist. It's a trap. It's a trick. It's dysfunctional. There's a chance to wake up and grow up here and be a good human being and love yourself and others appropriately. That sounds good to me. I hope that sounds good to you. I'll leave it there and talk to you again next week.